Hi guys, in this video we'll be starting with hemoglobin in the protein section of biological molecules. In the previous video we covered quaternary structure of proteins and globular and fibrous proteins. Okay, so let's get started. Hemoglobin is a globular protein, as we all know. It is a specialized pigmented protein and it's found in RBC, red blood cells, that plays an important role in oxygen transport. Okay, pretty clear. Moving on. Each hemoglobin molecule has 4 polypeptide chains. Now, this phrase over here, 4 polypeptide chains, tells me that this will have a quaternary structure. The hemoglobin will have a quaternary structure because the identification of quaternary structure is that the protein should have more than one polypeptide chain. Okay, here we have 4 polypeptide chains, so this thing confirms the presence of quaternary structure for hemoglobin. Okay, now each hemoglobin has 4 polypeptide chains attached with each other through disulfide bonds between specific R groups. We know what are those specific R groups. Okay, that's tiny amino acids. Okay, studied them. Okay, 2 of them are alpha globins. Okay, 2 of the polypeptide chains are alpha globins and the other 2 are beta globins. Okay, each of these globin chains has a 3D tertiary structure with polar R groups facing outward, okay, and thus having a soluble nature in water. Okay, now let's look at a sample, a model for a hemoglobin molecule. Okay, as you can see, we have 2 alpha globin chains and they are identical, and we also have 2 beta globin chains. Okay, each of them has a heme group attached to it, okay, which shows high affinity with an O2 molecule. It's shown here, okay, respectively, and here also. And these 4 globins, okay, basically they are connected connected to each other through disulfide bonds. As you can see, these are 4 disulfide bonds displayed here, and this whole thing is one hemoglobin molecule. Okay, let's move further. Okay, let's just quickly read this. Attached to each globin chain is a heme group. Okay, and what's a heme group? It's an iron complex and it acts as a prosthetic group. Okay, and each heme part has one iron atom that shows high affinity for one O2 molecule. Okay, that's why a whole hemoglobin molecule can combine reversibly. Okay, reversibly, it's important. It's not permanent, it's reversible, with 4 oxygen molecules to form a complete oxyhemoglobin. When hemoglobin combines with 4 oxygen molecules, when one hemoglobin molecule combines with 4 oxygen molecules, it forms a oxyhemoglobin. Okay, moving further, here we have just an equation. Okay, it's important. One hemoglobin molecule with 4 oxygen molecules reversibly gives oxyhemoglobin. Color of the hemoglobin is purple blue. Okay, and when it's combined with 4 oxygen molecules, it becomes red. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, now let's study a problem associated with this hemoglobin thing. Okay, what happens? The mutation in a hemoglobin, that's sickle cell anemia. So it's a gene mutation of the gene that codes for beta globin chains. Okay. In this, the amino acid number 6 of beta globin chain, which is originally glutamic acid, which was having polar R groups facing outwards, and hence it was soluble. Okay, and it's now replaced by another amino acid, and that's valine, and that has non-polar R groups facing outwards. Okay, so here's a solubility problem. Okay, this one here are soluble in polar solvents. Okay, and this one valine, it's not soluble. You see the problem? Okay, let's further describe this problem. This results in the decrease of solubility, okay, pretty simple, of the whole hemoglobin molecule within the RBC. Now, what happens? It further results in its precipitation, okay, in the RBC medium. Hence, the RBC lose their flexibility and their membranes become highly fragile. Okay. This leads to their early rupturing. Okay, and obviously they cannot perform their function properly, and hence the hemoglobin basically cannot perform its function, and the oxygen cannot be properly transported throughout the body. Okay, and in this sickle cell disease, okay, the abnormal hemoglobin molecules tend to aggregate into chains, okay, deforming some of the cells into a sickle shape. And so the capacity to carry oxygen is greatly reduced, and it forms something like this, okay, a sickle shaped. Okay, so deformed. This is a deformed RBC. And what happens is that a person with this disease has periodic sickle cell crisis. Okay, sickle cell crisis. Sorry. And when the angular cells clog tiny blood vessels, okay, they block the tiny blood vessels, and hence they impede the blood flow. That's why the person suffering from a sickle cell anemia has this sickle cell crisis. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care.